Okay, I think we'll start the webinar. So good morning, everyone. Good morning, participants. Good morning to the panelists. Am I audible? Hello?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, great. So good morning, everyone. It's an honor to have Mr. Rohit Venugopal, the business manager at Razorpay. So before I give the floor to Mr. Shiva to give a short introduction about Rohit sir, I'll just give a brief introduction about CIIC. So Crescent Innovation and Incubation Council is a startup incubator based out of Crescent University, Chennai. Currently, we have around 64 startups, and our thrust areas include life sciences and industry 4.0. So what we exactly offer is one, money, that is identifying the different grants offered by the government and private investors. Two is mentorship, that is giving mentors such as industrialists, academicians, legal advisors, and business advisors. And third is the marketplace, where we identify a specific market to market the product globally and nationally. So this is what we offer at the incubation center. Currently, we have obtained of around 77 lakhs in grant and a turnover of a much higher number. Yeah, so that's about it. So if you do want to incubate with us, please do approach us or contact us at cic.ventures. Yeah, so that's the short introduction about CIC. Now I request Mr. Shiva to give a short introduction about our speaker for today, Mr. Rohit Venugopal. Shiva sir, are you there? Hello? Hello?
I'm not
Okay.
sure if Shiva is audible, but I can give try and
Okay.
give an introduction myself. So,
Sure.
good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us this Saturday morning. Uh, I'm excited to talk to a lot of the startup people. I myself come from working in startups for the last 10 years. So I started my career in HR. So I've worked as an HR in a couple of companies like Flipkart and DE Shaw, and I've always thought that I felt that HR was very operational. So I set about working with HR SaaS products. So basically, trying to make my job easier was what I wanted to do, and I started working with HR products, and I worked with a couple of good products. Opfin is one of them, and basically I've always tried to find an easier solution to everyday tasks, simply put. And Opfin kind of typifies that. And today, what we will talk about is payroll and compliance. We will have startup people who are attending the event right now, founders who might be thinking of starting up, who might want to understand, okay, if I hire or if I register a company today, what are the things that I need to keep in mind when it comes to, say, payroll? If I hire an intern or even an employee, what are the compliances that I need to take care of? Or if you're already running a business, you might already be aware of some of these challenges that we will cover, and you might be using tools or you might be using services to kind of help, kind of negate that. But again, what we will discuss today is something far different than that from what is available in the market today. So at the end of the session, all of you are welcome to look at Opfin and sign up and take a demo and set it up for your firm. We will also offer uh, an exclusive pricing for all the participants and startups at CISC, right? So yeah, I'm excited about what we're going to do today. There is a Q&A session, so uh, don't wait for that. You have the question and answer option right as an option on Zoom. So go ahead and start asking your questions, anything related to HR, startups, and payroll and compliance and specific things around that, or even people management. And I'll pick them up throughout the webinar. So let's get started. I quickly want to, I hope my screen is visible. Is my screen visible?
Yes, sir, it is visible.
Perfect. Perfect. Great. So I feel that the payroll process in India is flawed, right? Let's look at the people who actually do payroll in a small business, right? If you're a 10-member organization or 50-member organization or 100 or 200 and so on, right? Either you have the founder doing it, who's probably using a CA. You might hire an HR person who is tasked with doing payroll. And then you have this finance person, or most often, if you're really small, that finance person is yourself, because as a founder, you do play multiple roles in a startup. So the process is flawed because there is no single system that allows you to complete the entire payroll, right? What I mean by that is once you decide on an annual CTC for an employee, every month you kind of prepare an Excel file, you prepare a salary register, uh, then you kind of do some calculation. It might be on a software, or it might be a very very good Excel sheet. A lot of companies do come up with, and there are templates available, right? So where you can have salary registers as templates on Excel file, and you can just key in the values and it gives you output files. So what traditionally happens in India is there is a payroll processing part, right? There is this entire thing, hullabulla made about, process payroll. What are you doing? Payroll processing. What's the HR doing? Okay, last 3 months is locked for payroll processing. And what exactly is happening here is you collect a bunch of inputs, you do a bunch of calculations, and you take a bunch of output files. Typically, depending on the size of the organization, this could be multiple things, right? You have the bank file, which you need to use for salary transfers. Then you need a TDS file, which you have to pay if there are any employees with TDS. Then you will also have a PT file, which is basically professional tax, which we will cover in detail in the further slides. But essentially, you're left with 5 output files, and then you kind of work on that output file, right? You go to the bank portal, you go to the PF portal or the PT portal or traces, or you give it to a CA. There is emails, there is Excel files, there's version documents, there's audit maker checker. So what does all of this bring about is, firstly, it's human error, right? I mean, as simple as that. I mean, the number of times I, as an HR, have felt helpless. To give you an anecdote, uh, one of the things that I feel, okay, there are two things I feel that as an employer you should avoid, right? One is an employee walking up to you and saying, hey, where is my salary? I haven't got my salary. Everyone else has got the salary, but I haven't got my salary. What happened? Why haven't I got my salary? Now, if there is an HR person who is in charge of payroll, uh, technically the employee would expect that the HR would have an answer. But today in India, who actually executes payroll? It is the finance team or the founder. They're the ones who actually do the bank transfer, right? So the HR actually does not have an answer. So they then let the employee know, hey, let me get back to you. And they call the finance person, get an update, call back, and then find out that, hey, I missed a zero, right? I missed a zero in the bank output file. Why? Because the Excel format that I was using and the one that the bank accepted was different and something happened. Now, this is a very classic example of a very, very minute human error that can cause a lot of pain for an employee. And also, in this case, the HR, because the HR is helpless. And the employee walks back with the feeling that, hey, my HR doesn't have answers, right? So first is human error. It's very, very important that whenever you try to automate or whenever you're building a process, the first thing that you need to try and eliminate is human error, right? And that's basically the whole point of automation. If you automate something, you are digitizing it firstly, and second, you're eliminating human error. The second is compliance and regulation, right? This is also very important because things change, compliances change. Just this year alone, so many things have changed. And I'm just talking of payroll and compliance, right? I'm not talking of the broad tax stuff that happens, and because of COVID, there's so many things that has changed. But year on year, tax slabs change, right? 2 years ago, they had medical conveyance, they didn't have standard deduction, right? Now there is standard deduction. Um, Spreadsheets, we've already covered this, right? Um, some desktops don't even have MS Office, right? So there are unique challenges here. Data security, obviously, uh, very, very important. You're dealing with confidential information. You're dealing with employee data, personal data, their personal information, their PAN card, their, end to end. And if that is not taken care of, and if it's lying around as different files and email servers all over the place, and just generally in various inboxes, it's generally not a good practice as you grow to have this kind of a setup, right? So these are some of the common problems that exist even with softwares around the place, right? Even if you use a payroll software, a traditional payroll software in the market, you will still have human error because you have to export these files and then work on it. You will still have compliance and regulation issues because the payroll software is not making the payments for you. Is the payroll software going to take liability if they have not updated their TDS slabs or something else changed? I'm not sure, right? That is why you always pay a CA, right? Who will take care of these things for you. Uh, so, and when we talk about compliance again, it's super critical. Just in Tamil Nadu alone, I think PT is paid at a district level, if I'm not mistaken. Right? There are so many different places to pay. Whereas in other states, it's probably one portal, and probably about 20 states have PT in India, right? So it's very, very different in different states, right? Let's start from the bottom, right? PT. That is actually applicable right from employee one. You register a company, you start taking a salary, you need to pay PT if that state has a PT. As simple as that. In Karnataka, it is about 200 rupees a month. Again, as I said, in Tamil Nadu, it varies. There are quite a few random things that happen here. For example, in Mumbai, it would be about 200 every month, but in the month of, I think, February or January, you need to deduct an additional 100, right? So in West Bengal, the PT is based on slabs, which is basically if you're earning less than 15,000 a month, you don't have PT. And between 15 and X amount, it is so much and so forth. Whereas in some states, it is a flat tax, right? It doesn't matter, right? You earn 30,000 or 1 lakh, the PT is going to be 200. So it's driven by states, and wherever you register your company and have your employees, you need to make sure that you register for PT uh, as an organization, and you have to make a monthly payment of PT, and you also have to make a monthly filing of this, right? Uh, Moving above, you have employee state insurance. This is again very interesting. This is subsidized healthcare that the government provides, for which you, as an employer, especially again, this is applicable when you're paying employees below 21,000 a month, right? So if you are paying employees below 21,000, and if you have more than 10 employees, you need to be registered for ESI, and every month there is again two pieces to it. There is an employer contribution and there is an employee contribution, and this is deposited to the government. There is a monthly payment and a monthly filing of this. So again, very, very important. I think it's a very, very good scheme that we have. A lot of you know I'm not sure if people have seen ESI hospitals around. I've definitely spotted a few around where I live in Bangalore, but they do help a lot of the people who are in that salary bracket. And as an employer, if you are paying employees less than that, I would strongly recommend that you do avail this and register this and provide this as a benefit for your workers, right? um, Provident fund, again, this is from a government perspective. It is to save long-term pension retirement fund for an individual, for a working individual. So again, there are limitations to this in terms of how the calculations work. There are different ways the government has changed it. We've seen a lot of companies who still follow some of the older calculations. And again, you need to register for this once you cross 20 employees. An employee can also volunteer to increase his provident fund. It is called voluntary provident fund. It's a very interesting compliance requirement, and also something that I feel is good. Uh, to be honest, employees get to save tax-free money. Employers get to kind of help their employees or their working people save some of the money for their retirement, right? End of the day. So Provident Fund is again applicable once you cross 20 employees. It is a mandatory requirement that you register for PF. Again, there is an employer and an employee contribution for this, and it needs to be paid monthly. And there is a filing that needs to be done for this as well. Now, the first one up on top is tax deducted at source. I think a lot of us would be familiar with this. If you're running an organization, or if you've ever worked in an organization, you might have come across TDS. It's one short way for the government to, kind of tax its citizens, right? The salaried individuals and the folks who get salaries from companies. TDS is deducted at source. So basically, this is driven purely by the tax slabs, right? Government has a tax slab that may change Last year it did change. Last year it changed radically. Now we have two tax slabs and all of that. We will get into that. But this is driven by tax slabs. And depending on the tax slabs, if you fall under the taxable bracket, your employer has to deduct this every month, pay the government every month, and there is a quarterly filing that needs to be done for a salary TDS. So these are the four main parts of compliance today that exists for an organization, right? Depending on the size and state you're in, some of it might be applicable or not, but across the board, these are the four compliances that exist for salary payment. Now, these are the four output files, right? So you have TDS and you take that to the traces portal. You take PF and you go to the EPF portal. ESI has its own portal, which sometimes refuses to function on anything but Internet Explorer. PT, again, some states have a portal, some states don't have a portal at all. For example, I have a customer who runs a trucking and logistics company in Mundra port in Gujarat, right? They don't have a portal. We need to make a check payment there for PT. So obviously I can't automate that, right? So yeah, PT is driven at a state level. So, so why did we build Opfin? What was the idea of building Opfin? Now that you understand all the different things that go into payroll and what are the different compliances that happen, right? Let me try and give you a very simple analogy, right? If you're a business owner, at the end of the month, imagine if you have to go to 5 different places and pay something, right? That's just a lot of overhead. Now, the way I would also like to call this is in an organization as a business, you can broadly classify everything that you do as a value-added task and a non-value-added task, right? And payroll very firmly falls under a non-value-added task. Now, just because I call it non-value-added doesn't mean it is not essential. Even in non-value-added tasks, there are certain essential tasks that exist. So payroll falls under a non-value-added essential task. What that exactly means is that uh, no amount of time that you spend on payroll is going to help you increase your business. You know, it's condensing a lot of things, but that's the crux of it. The crux is that spending time on payroll is not adding value to your business. So if you can automate it, if you can minimize the time you spend on payroll, it is worth doing that because it frees up time for you to do other value added things that helps you grow your business, right? So that is the whole idea of Opfin. A simple analogy for this is at the end of the month, you get your phone bill, right? You get a phone bill and you pay that phone bill. But imagine if you had to go pay data, voice, SMS, roaming, all of this separately. That would be a very, very painful thing to do. And you would actually you would actually go back to a landline because that would just give you a single bill, right? I don't know. So the whole idea with Opfin was how do I reduce payroll and compliance to something like a phone bill? So if you're running a business at the end of the month, on the say the 30th or the 31st, you have to execute payroll and pay your employees. Can I reduce that entire activity to a single click and a single number? So you hit finalize payroll. I tell you your payroll bill for the month is say 5 lakhs, 50 lakhs, 5 crores, right? You transfer that to Razorpay. You upload that in Razorpay. You hit execute payroll and your payroll is done. Your employees get paid, your PF gets paid, your PT gets paid, your TDS gets paid. You sit back and watch all the filings automatically being done, and you will have it right on the system. So payroll processing, I would say, is passe, right? It's time to start executing payroll, right? So what does Opfin offer? It offers an automated payroll system. And when I say that, I mean I take care of everything. It includes the money movement, it includes the filings, it includes the liability. And what I mean when I say liability is if the government is changing the tax slabs and I haven't updated it, right? Or I failed to pay your TDS on time, let's say, which has never happened till now, by the way. I will take liability on that. You don't have to worry about it, right? All the compliance payments, all the computations, everything is handled by me. It's a SaaS product, so every employee and user will get to log in and access their pay slips. They will get their Form 16s at the end of the year on Opfin. So we will generate the Form 16s for all the employees, right? Those who are active on the system and those who have left your organization as well. And they will get Form 16s on the system. There's a very nifty time and leave management piece as well. So you can configure leaves and give your employees certain leaves. I also love the reimbursements part. As an HR, I always used to wonder how I could, improve my the whole idea of from an HR perspective. If you think about payroll, I've always wanted to kind of think about, okay, how can we uh, improve an employee experience, right? If you take care of the employee, if you give your employees a good experience, they will do their best for you as an organization, right? And that's the whole crux. So when we thought about that, and when we think about reimbursements and how it works today, uh, essentially an employee is paying upfront from his pocket on behalf of the company, and then he has to wait 15, 20, 30 days to get his money back, and he has to write follow-ups and emails and keep documents and all of it, and then get his money back, right? So we find, as an HR, I always thought that was too long, and I always wanted to kind of, we've always pushed for 15-day pay cycle, 15-day reimbursements, right? So that's why finance teams generally say, at the most 15-day cycles, right? So they will create a batch for 15 days and people get paid. A lot of organizations pay along with salary because it just is easier for the finance team to do it like that. And then the the most important part for us is, after HR, I moved to sales, and then I had to start paying, and then I was in that same position where I would get money after a month or 20 or 30 days. So with Opfin, none of that exists, right? Because the reason why the finance wants to create 15 days batches is it doesn't make sense for the finance person to log into the bank portal and transfer money to one employee, right? But with Razorpay, you can do that, right? Employee applies for reimbursement in the morning at 10 a.m. Your finance person approves. He gets it in his bank account in 10 minutes, right? So that's how simple reimbursements could be. Obviously, as a payroll automation suite, I do give all the different reports that you require and more than a traditional system, because in this case, I also handle money movement. So you'll find detailed ledger reports with UTR numbers, success states, and all of that. So let me get into a quick demo. If you have any questions, feel free to use the Q&A and ask us any questions that you have. Uh, Let me show you a quick demo of the software, and we'll take questions after that. So who is Opfin for? We are built for anyone who is tech savvy, right? If you have worried about payroll, if you've tried to understand payroll, if you think that, hey, I have to do payroll, if you're that person who dreads payroll, right? Do explore Opfin, because it can really make your life simple. Let me log into a demo account right now. So let me log out and log in again. It's a SaaS software, so every user will get a login. Um, and we also authenticate with Google sign-in. Okay, so this is how the dashboard looks. And one of the first things that you would probably notice is the account balance itself. So we have something called as account balance, because you would know that Razorpay powers payments for probably millions of businesses, right? From IRCTC to Swiggy, right? So the whole idea with payroll and Razorpay is, let me handle the entire thing. You don't even have to go to your, worry about your bank portal or the TDS portal, none of it. So you can always update your account with balance, right? You could also choose to open an account with Razorpay as well. We offer current accounts for businesses. So if you choose to open a current account with Razorpay, that could be very, very seamless for you, right? You have your own current account and the balance right staring in front of you, and you can just start executing all payments. Now, right now, I'm logged in as an administrator. So as I said, we're a SaaS platform with different user roles. Uh, think of a typical company. You would have different people doing different things. You have an employee, you have a manager, you have a HR person, a finance person, the main founder, the admin, the main person who controls the money aspect. So basis that, you will also have your CA, the outside vendor maybe, right? Basis that, Option also can give different roles and you can assign these to different people, right? So right now I'm an administrator, so I get to see admin options, and these are all the admin options. As an administrator, I'm also an employee, which means I also get a salary from this company, right? So all these things that you see here are things that are related to an employee. So I have access to my payslips, I have access to my tax part, I have access to reimbursements, certain documents that I can upload, and so on. Now, Option, as you can see, the is not built as an HRMS suite, right? Option literally stands for operations and finance. So the idea was to make operations and finance super simple. So what are the three things that you can do in Option? Is the first three options that you have under admin options. One is people, where you manage a list of people. The second is run payroll, where you pay your employees. And the third is pay contractors, wherein you pay your contractors and vendors, right? That essentially is all the things that you can do in Option. Below that, you have reports, company details, and settings where you can toggle certain payments, compliances, configure leaves, and so on. Right? Let's take a quick look at execution. I want to show you how simple it is to kind of navigate the system and execute payroll and so on, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to people, which gives me a list of all my employees right here. I'm going to click on add one. And let me go ahead and say CIC webinar. I'll give a dummy email ID. Let's give a hiring date of September 1st. I'm going to ignore job title, department, manager for now, but manager is useful for approval of reimbursements as well as leave requests and so on. Let's give an annual salary. And lastly, location. This is for PT payments, so I'll leave it at Karnataka. So that is pretty much all you need to do to onboard a new employee. So an employee joins your organization today. You open Option as an administrator, invite this employee. You would have created an email ID for him. So put that email ID, he gets access to Option. He will complete his employee profile, right? The first thing that he will do is set password, obviously. And after that, he is asked to fill in his payment information. Now, if you remember, I said there is two questions, one of which is that an employee walking up and saying, where is my salary? Right? I said you as an employee should avoid that. So with Option, you will never have that question. Why? Because an employee fills this information himself. He would put in his PAN, he would put in his bank account number and IFSC code. When we execute payroll, we will transfer salary to the account number that is available against an employee profile, right? And let's say there is an error in IFSC code. An automated email goes to the employee and the administrator saying, hey, we tried transferring salary to you, but your IFSC code is wrong, or your account number is wrong, or your beneficiary name does not match. So please log into Option, update this information, and the system will automatically retry your payment. So you will never hear this question, and basically it's preemptive, right? The whole idea is to preempt an employee experience event and make sure that it is already solved. So that is what is happening here. Now, another critical thing, depending on size of the organization, that you need to do on the day of onboarding a new employee is Provident Fund. Now, in Provident Fund, again, if you're more than 20 employees, you would be registered for PF. And there are two cases. Either the employee has already worked in an organization and he has a UAN number. So you can simply give that UAN number here, enable PF status for him, opt in, enable PT. And similarly, if there is an ESI registration required, you could also give that. But the idea is if he has a UAN number, just provide that here, and Option will take care of your PF register management. What that means is every company has a register of their active employees on the PF portal. So whenever you add employees, let go of employees, and every month when you make payments, this is a rolling active register that you need to manage. So Option automates that part. Whenever you add an employee and provide a UAN, we will go and update your register. Whenever you dismiss an employee from Option and you stop making PF payments for him, we will go and remove him from your register as well. The second case is when you hire a fresher, and this fresher does not even have a UAN number, right? In that case as well, you don't have to worry. we've automated that as well. I don't have it on the demo account, but for PF registration for a UAN generation, there's a short form that is required. We need the mother's name, father's name, the Aadhaar number, and so on. So once you fill that up, we can generate a UAN number for this employee as well, right? So that is your onboarding day compliance. The same is applicable for ESI as well. Either the register management, just like the PF register, you need to manage the ESI register. So we will do that. And for new employee who needs to be registered under ESI, there is something called as an IP number. So we can get that generated as well. So that's your onboarding day compliance. And as an HR, if you're an HR, you should be thrilled that you're not even touching the account number, right? An employee is filling it up. If you've onboarded a lot of employees, you can go to reports. We have a simple report called missing information. It'll tell you the critical information that is missing across all your people. And you can have a remind option here. Click on it, they get emails. The email will literally say, hey, if you don't fill this, you're not going to get salary. And trust me, people will fill it when they read that email, right? So let's go back to people. And if you go to employees, you can see that CIIC webinar is now available here. But before I get into the employee part of it and how do you execute a payroll, what is it? Let me quickly show you the contractor part. So what I'll do is I'll go to this profile, I'll edit the profile and change this employee from type of employee to a contractor. Now this contractor could be an individual or a vendor or a business entity. Now, when I say individual, an example could be an intern, right? A freelancer that you have hired. A business could be your CA firm. It could be your landlord. It could be landlord who is a person, or it could be a business, real estate, right? So the idea is under people, you can have a list of your interns, contractors, vendors, and businesses. They will also get to log in. The primary difference between an employee and a contractor is an employee has an annual CTC and a contractor is basically paid on an invoice that he submits to you, right? So he will also fill in his bank account information and everything. If you go to the third option that you see, that is pay contractors. And if I click on the types, who do I want to make a payment to? I have CIIC webinar here. Let's take a very simple example. This contractor is my landlord. As a small business, I have an office and I need to pay rent every month. It could even be your co-working space, although now I know everyone is working remotely. But yeah, a very strong use case could be that. Or it could also be a professional services, a digital marketing agency that you use, right? Or a content writer that you use and you pay a retainership. So let's say they've sent you an invoice, you can upload that invoice, or they may not send you an invoice. It could be a landlord, as I said, it could be rent payment. So you can just say, let's say on the 30th, I will make this payment. And I can repeat this payment at a monthly level. I also have different cadences here, different options here. You can put in an amount, let's say 50,000. Let's go ahead and put a remark, let's say rent. And these are the non-salary TDS codes. So we spoke about TDS from a salary perspective, tax deducted at a source, tax slabs. We spoke about all of that. We did not cover TDS for individuals or businesses, right? So as a business, again, this is a small part of it, but if you're a small startup, you have interns, this would be important. And you might have freelancers, especially. So most of them would fall under professional services. You would need to deduct 10%. If you're paying anyone more than 30,000 as an individual, right? You need to deduct 10%. Or if you're paying around more than 2.4 lakhs as rent in a year, again, you need to deduct 10%. So there are different tax codes for this, and you can also read up on option. For example, if I want to understand what qualifies as professional services, what is technical services, right? So the whole idea is you select the right tax code, click on pay then. Now, again, there is an interesting thing that is happening here. As I said, Option completely automates everything, right? So, which means that I take liability of everything as well, which means that anytime there is a change that happens, I have to update it, right? So for COVID, because of COVID, the government reduced TDS by 25%. So that is what is happening here. Ideally on 50,000, the TDS would be 5,000 at 10%. But because of COVID, it is being calculated at 7.5%. and that's why it's 3750. So if I click on confirm payment, every month on the 30th, the landlord automatically gets paid. And I can also keep an eye on all the upcoming payments that I have, right? Uh, Interesting thing about contractors is every contractor also gets a login. So they can log in, and we have companies who have reverse automated their payments. What I mean to say is they've told their vendors, individuals, especially those who have a lot of contractors, they've said, hey, don't send me any more emails and invoices for uh, payments. Just log into Opfin and raise a request there, right? So every contractor can log in and raise a request. They see a very similar kind of an option, and where they will say, okay, I need to be paid so much, and this is the TDS slab, and you will get it as a payment request along with the invoice that they have uploaded. All you need to do is check the invoice, make sure it is accurate, it will open up as an attachment, click on it, approve and pay, and you're done. Your vendor, the contractor gets paid. Whatever tax need to be paid, we will take care of the tax as well. So we have a couple of content writing firms, for example, who have really, they have about 400, 500, 600 contractors who get paid at an article level or retainership level. So on an average day, that the finance person was getting about maybe around 70 to 80 emails, right? Just invoices, bank account numbers. So imagine the Excel sheets he had, the bank account, the portal was always open, internet banking was always open, and he was just going up and down, flipping screens, just making sure everyone is updated. Some transactions would fail. Then again, he would have to respond to them, and he has to store invoices in everything in one place. So all of that is now automated because he just logs into Opfin, goes to dashboard. He'll see you have payment requests. He opens it, he clicks, he approves and pays. It's done. They get notified saying you've been paid. If the account number is wrong, they get notified. We've tried paying you, but your account number is wrong, right? There is no email to be sent. There is no visit to the bank portal. There is no Excel file. And you don't have to worry about TDS because Opfin will pay the TDS. So that's how simple contractor payments could be made. What I'm going to do now is go back to this webinar person, edit this person and make him back into an employee. And you would see that immediately now the annual salary would be back and provident fund, etc. is back. So let's go back to payroll. And if I have to break down payroll, I would say payroll essentially has 3 steps. Um, Today it probably takes 3 days and 30 steps, but I think payroll has 3 steps, and those 3 steps are what you see here, right? One is, it's always important to manage a list of your employees and their core data. What I mean here is, you've hired people and you let go of people, they have an annual CTC, right? That's it. These are the two main, and you collect their bank account information. This is your core master data. Always make sure that this is up to date on a daily level, if possible. Unless you're hiring in hundreds every day, this should not be a problem, right? Whenever you hire, you make sure that they're onboard option. That's it, right? Add, remove payroll inputs. Interestingly, a lot of things get called as payroll inputs, right? Right from new joinee data to leaves to arrears to many things get called as payroll inputs. There is validation, there is maker checker. The people will be waiting on teams. There will be defined tags to do all of this. But if you actually think about it, payroll input can only be 2 kinds. Either you decide to pay your employee more money, or you decide to reduce some money. That is it. It basically is a monetary value that you need to kind of come to, because nothing else changes. Annual CTC is set. Government has defined the compliance for the year. That is not changing month on month. Either you have a quarterly, monthly bonus system, or you have a loss of pay. Everything else is not a pay. For example, a lot of people confuse attendance with payroll inputs. They track attendance very heavily, right, to enforce policies, and that kind of ends up making their payroll time, like the HR is chasing people for attendance and leave approval and things like that, and that is not a healthy process, neither for you to grow as a organization, nor for your employees or for the person who's doing it as well. Unless you're an organization that requires you to adhere to time, right? For example, what I mean by that is, let's say you're running a retail company. Let's say you have a retail store in a mall. It is important that at 9 a.m. every day, your employee or the store manager comes and opens the shutter. Otherwise, your employees can't, I mean, you're literally not open for business. So those are the kind of cases where time matters. If you're running a 24/7 operational manufacturing facility, of course, you would be very, very wary of time because there's a lot of investment that has gone in and you want to maximize uh, ROI on it, and you would want to run these machines for set period of hours a day. So you would build your entire thing around it. But I see a lot of other companies who manage time and kind of enforce it as a policy, wherein there it does not have a business objective, right? So my strong recommendation is that see if measuring time methodically at an hour, at a swipe level, at a biometric level, see if it is a business objective for you. If it is not a business objective, don't measure time like that. So that is very, very important. And I would really advise that people not spend too much time on attendance and leave and things like that if it is not a core business objective. If it is not driving your business objective. If you're running a software firm, yeah, I mean, you could break down your work in so many different ways. And you could also follow this within teams as well. So for me, I would say payroll has only monetary inputs. Either you decide to give them incentives or there is a loss of pay. And I'll show you how to add that. The third is basically pay your employees on time and be compliant. So these are broadly the 3 steps. I've already showed you how to do the first step, which is adding a new employee, right? Now, if I go to run payroll, this is my list of employees, right? You can see that CISC webinar is already there. There's a monthly CTC of 2 lakhs because the annual salary was 24. Now, interestingly, if I click on this gross pay, it opens a payslip. So it's a payslip preview. So here you can see that the TDS is about 39,000, right? 38,000. And there's also a direct 20% tax that is applicable on this profile loan because PAN is missing, because I haven't entered, it's a dummy profile, right? But keep an eye on this tax. Let's say I decide to give this employee certain bonus. So I can simply hit edit here and I can say bonus incentives, and let's give some values. Similarly, I could give some deduction. Either it's a recovery, right? A salary advance that I need to recover, which again won't happen via here. I'll show you another way to do that. Or it could be loss of pay. Let's say I need to do 15 days loss of pay. So I simply put in 15 and that would convert to a value. But let me not do that though, because I want to show you how the TDS changes. So if I hit gross pay again, you can see the TDS has now jumped to 41 because the bonus and incentive has been added and hence the earnings has increased. So all of this processing, this generation of payslip, all of this is instantaneous. There's nothing for you to process or lock or do anything, right? Make sure your list of employees is accurate. Collect additions, either give him loss of pay or give him some additions. Let's say CISC webinar is asked for some advance, right? So let's say we've already given him an advance, or let's say I want to give him an advance now. So let's say I want to give him an advance of 65,000. Either I can recover it as an EMI, or I can just not recover it as an EMI. It will get adjusted in the immediate salary. So I'll just say request advance. Because I'm an admin, I can approve it immediately. So I'll approve it, right? It's been paid, it's gone. It's in his account, right? So if I go to run payroll, and if I open the payslip again, you can see that this deduction is now coming here, right? As 65,000. So the entire thing is automated. So you don't have to worry about collection of inputs, then migration of inputs, checking of inputs, then the processing, then take the outputs. It's all instant, it's happening real time. Now, interestingly, every employee can log in and they can access their tax deductions, right? So I can go to this employee's profile because I'm an admin, go to the tax deductions page, and I can see a preview of my payslip as well. And if my HR has put in bonuses, I can see. This is the second part of the question that an employer should avoid, right? An employee walking up to you and saying, hey, why is my salary just this much? What is this? You said, I'll get this much, but I don't understand this, right? So with Option, you can give a preview to your employee. Let's say you execute payroll on the 31st every month. Make sure you put in all the inputs and tell your employees to take a look at your payslip. This is what you're going to get paid, right? So again, it's preemptive. They won't come to you saying, why is my salary just this much? Because you've already answered it. You're giving them a window saying, this is what your payslip is going to look like, right? So an employee can, for example, this profile, let me just close all the other payslips, right? So he will take a look, he or they will take a look at the profile and say, okay, I'm going to get paid about 1.93 lakhs. I'm paying 41,000 TDS. I can actually go ahead and see what the tax slabs are, the new tax slabs that the government has introduced, and what the liability would be if I choose either one, right? And right below this, we have the income tax declaration piece, where again, an employee can declare investments. And this is the same place where an employee would upload proofs. And at the end of the year, Option will take up the verification of these documents for you, right? So you don't have to worry about that as well. So we do the document verification and generate Form 16s at the end of the year. Now, if I open the payslip, my tax is reduced, and that's because I've declared certain investments, right? So an employee can upfront see what TDS he will pay, how his investments will impact his TDS, is he going to get bonus or not, how much net salary he will get, all before the salary even hits his bank account. And that is a very, very good place for you to be in as an HR, as an organization as well, because it's a consistent employee experience. And that is very, very important. As I said, if you give the best employee experience, they will try to do the best for you. Uh, let's go back to run payroll. And the idea here is very simple, right? I've covered step 1 and step 2, which is get your list ready. Step 2 is put in addition and deduction. Step 3 is pay your employees on time, right? So all I need to do is click on finalize payroll. But before that, under settings, I'll show you all the different payments that Option does, right? So you would set a payroll date. So basis that you would get an alert saying, hey, please execute payroll today. So Option will transfer salaries, contractor payments, TDS, PF, ESI, and PT, right? So if I go to run payroll and click on finalize payroll, this is my total payroll bill for the month of September. And I already have balance, so I can execute my payroll, right? What is the breakup? I can see by clicking on this. So I'll be paying 12.5 lakhs as salaries, about 2 lakhs as TDS, and rest is compliances, the government compliances. So I don't need to visit these 5 places. All I need to do is make sure I load money into Option. So the typical activity would be that you finalize payroll, take a look at the number, load that into Option, request execution. Sit back, everyone gets paid automatically. You can go to reports, you can go to ledger, and you will see all the transactions happening with a UTR number and the statuses. This is a demo account, so there's no UTR numbers, but you would see a status, success, and every transaction is called out. You can simply go to TDS as a report, and you will find your TDS challans on the system, right? Your salary TDS every month. Non-salary TDS if you're using contractor payments. Every quarter, you will find your quarterly filings as well on the system. So this is basically what Option does. It's a simple nifty tool, and basically once you execute payroll, on the 7th we pay TDS, on the 15th we pay all the compliances. So you can keep an eye out for this. You can go to ledger, an employee walks up to you and says, hey, or contractor walks up to you and says, hey, I didn't get my salary. They would have already got an automated information. If it is stuck at their bank level, you can give them the UTR number, which you can pick up from the ledger report. This is what you would again push to your accounting systems for end of the month booking, book balance, and so on. So the idea with Option is simply that you can execute payroll without even looking at your salary register. For example, I don't know if you realize we did not take a look at the salary register and I said payroll is executed, right? We do provide salary registers. It's all available, but you don't need to look at it because everything is being paid by Option and we will take care of it. right? So similarly, reimbursements, as I said, it's a very simple module. An employee can apply for reimbursement and it automatically goes to the manager for approval, goes to the finance person who makes the payout. So any questions on the software itself, feel free to ping on the Zoom chat and also reach out to us after the webinar. But if you're a business who thinks that payroll is something that I need to do payroll, payroll is coming up, right? If you're someone who looks at payroll like that, or if you're still doing it manually, even though you might have a process, but you face any of the issues that we spoke about, either from a human error perspective or being aware of all the compliance changes perspectives or data security, or just, or even from a simple perspective of giving your employees a good experience, if any of these resonate with what you're going through, I think Opfin would be a very, very good fit for you. Any questions? I think there are some frequently asked questions. I'll quickly cover that as well. Things like bonuses, which we already covered. We also have how do you switch between your existing system to Opfin, right? It's very simple. It's not very complicated. You can get started very, very simply by signing up. We have companies who signed up, used Opfin, and executed payroll without even talking to us. It's that seamless, right? We can maintain leave and attendance records. Employees have access to self-service portal. Yes, it's there. We don't have a mobile app, but it's completely browser friendly, mobile browser friendly, and you can also download it as a home screen app, and it will function exactly like an app. Just that it's not there on Play Store. But yes, you can execute payroll on the mobile. And yes, you can definitely view the tax liability before you declare investments, as I showed to you. So who will need Opfin? As I said, anyone who's tech savvy, anyone who wants to digitize their payroll, who love automation. We work with a lot of startups. We work with a lot of CA firms. So if you're currently outsourced your payroll to CA and you're exchanging 10 emails every month, then Opfin is definitely something that you should look at. And yeah, if you're an HR, I would say stop processing payroll, start executing it, and start looking at how you can do strategic HR work than operational non-value-added HR work. If you're a finance person, I'm sure you would appreciate that you don't have to visit the bank portal multiple times to do transactions and, have a whole bunch of different task lists and calendar lists saying 7th I need to do this, 10th I need to do that, 15th I need to do this. So we can definitely help you there. And of course, if you're running a business yourself, then it's a no-brainer. We give you a handle on all things payroll, compliance, and payments. So thank you so much. If you have any questions, do get in touch with us. And whoever has attended today and for the startups at CISC, we will be running a special offer, and we will also be helping you set up your account if you have any questions with screen share demos, guidance, and all of that. So do get in touch with us. And if you have any questions, as I said, feel free to ping us on the Zoom chat or later via email as well. So that is it from me. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much for listening patiently.
Yeah, Rohit, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so I think it was a fantastic webinar, and I guess people can really make use of it. Even I thought it would be a different tool, but and I have one question, Rohit. Like you said, you can open a current account and we can process everything from the Opfin itself. So.
Correct.
I mean, like normally what we do is that we have a current account in a bank, and then we use a different payroll software for processing the payments, and you do it in a single place. Like you also help the people to open a current account because they don't need to go for a bank. So for that purpose.
Yeah, the idea. So to give you a little more picture on exactly where that fits in, right? Is to look at Razorpay as a whole. Now people know Razorpay as someone who is very good with payment gateway, and we help, as I said, lakhs of businesses collect money.
Yes.
You would have definitely used Razorpay right from Flipkart to everyone, right? So we have a lot of products that enable a business to collect money. Now, the other side of the coin is the business is collecting money, and then the business has to spend this money. right?
Okay.
And where is that happening today? That is happening at an internet banking portal in a current
Yep.
account, as you rightly said. And we
Yep.
know exactly how these portals are, how difficult.
Okay.
You can't have make a checker on your internet banking portal now, can you?
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
cannot have. So that is where Razorpay X comes in. So
Okay.
we provide a current account and an internet banking portal where you can
Okay.
have your entire finance team work on that internet banking portal. And we will not only stop at giving you a bank. So what is a, so let's take a typical bank, an HDFC bank or an ICICI bank will come to a
Okay.
business and say,
Okay.
hey, open a current account and open salary accounts for your employees.
Yes.
That is it. They don't do anything else.
Yes.
But if you open a current account with Razorpay,
Hmm.
which is powered by a partner bank, right?
Okay.
What will happen is we will also give you option, which will
Okay.
pay salaries, which will pay compliances, we'll give you vendor payments, we will give you corporate credit cards. If you're a startup, you would
Okay.
know that you can't even get a credit card.
Yes.
You need to be at least 3 years old to get a corporate card.
Yes.
So Razorpay will give you a corporate credit card because you have a current account with Razorpay. Now,
Okay.
also with Opfin, there's a very, very important announcement that I forgot to mention and highlight. We have
Okay.
launched group medical insurance. Right?
Okay. Yeah.
So even if you're a startup today, unless you are 20 employees, to even go to the market and get okay, let me put it this way. The insurance companies qualify a group as 21 people.
Okay.
So if you're an organization and want to buy group medical insurance, you have to go as a group of 21 people. So at minimum, let's say 7 employees, and you buy for dependents and your parents, then you can make a group of 21 people, which is why a lot of startups don't buy group medical insurance for their employees.
Yes. Yes.
But with Opfin, now you will be able to. Even if you're 2 employees,
Okay.
Opfin will give you group medical insurance, right?
Okay. That's really
Right. So you will be able to get the premiums of a company that is 500,000 employees in strength, even though you're 2 employees, and you will get the same benefits, day zero coverage, maternity from day zero, right? So the idea with Opfin and Razorpay as a whole is we've helped a lot of businesses, figure out how to collect money and get digital. And now we know that, they're facing a lot of issues with the next step of it, right? Because these are all process driven things, these are operational things. And if you can digitize and automate this, you can spend more time on growing your business, the actual business. That's what Razorpay believes in, right? So we want to give you a set of these apps that will completely automate all of this for you, and you can focus on growing your business. That is basically the entire current account piece. So imagine this. If you're an e-commerce merchant, or if you are using Razorpay Payment Gateway, you can collect money from Razorpay Payment Gateway. It will get settled into your Razorpay current account, which you can then use to pay your employees and your contractors.
Got it. Got it. Got it.
And imagine how simple your bookkeeping and your account statement will contain every one of this as a line item. So your CA will be the most happiest guy.
So you mean to say we don't need to depend on QuickBooks or Zoho Books for that? Everything will be done here itself.
You would still need a QuickBooks or a Zoho Books. That part is basically the business reporting part, which we are launching in Q3. Right?
Okay.
So right now, on the current account, what we can give you is API banking, which is instead of manually doing on your internet banking, you can have your team work on it. You can have you can upload a batch file and you can do it, or you can also use our apps and do it. And the next, we also, for example, Opfin integrates with QuickBooks. Right? So we provide an integration with QuickBooks.
Okay.
So we will even Razorpay X, all of this will be integrated with your accounting books. But yes, if a customer is using my entire suite, which is payment gateway, current account, and using all of my products to pay vendors, salaries, then yes, my business reporting engine will become as close to QuickBooks as possible. That is the idea.
Got it. Got it. And this Razorpay X is very recently launched product.
Yes, Razorpay X. Razorpay X was announced a year and a half ago, but we launched three new products last year in November. So even this year, so every year Razorpay does what we call as FTX, Razorpay FTX, which is basically the fintech conference. one of the premier fintech conference. So we are going to have that this year as well. So
Okay.
this is where it was announced. They announced Opfin corporate credit cards, all of them. And this year we are also going to announce a couple more products. We are excited about insurance, as I already mentioned, and we are working on a couple more products on the X suite. So we will be announcing that this FTX as well.
Great, Rohit. It was a fantastic webinar, and very honestly speaking, personally running a startup, I can understand that how good your product is, because as you said, we don't need to go for TDS separate place, PF. Every time we wanted to settle all these things, we have to scratch our head, but with a single click, I think we can do it very easily here with Razorpay. Definitely, we'll. I think after this webinar, a few of our startups will approach Razorpay, and yes, we do have got a benefit. Thanks for that, and we wish we'll meet in a different place. Thank you so much for this webinar, Rohit.
Thank you so much. It was lovely having all of you guys attend this on a Saturday morning. I appreciate your time, patience, and Shiva and the CIIC, especially for making this happen. I know we had to move around a couple of things to make this happen. I'm very happy that we're able to get this done today, and looking forward to working with all the startups that come through this, and looking forward to basically seeing how we can help more startups. So thank you so much, Shiva. Thank you so much,
Thank
everyone.
you so much. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Have a good day, everyone. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir, for that wonderful session. I request all the participants to kindly fill up the feedback forms so that you can get your e-certificates.
Thank you, everyone. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Bye.
sir.
போட்டு ஆன் பண்ணிட்டு வந்துட்டு எனக்கு மாட்டேன் ஏதாச்சும் புரிஞ்சுச்சா